What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the Washington Command Post. My name is JD. We're going to dive into this today. We're going to talk about how training camp has gone so far. So I have not been to any of the training camps, first off. I'm going off what I've heard from 3 different sources: the John Keim Report, the Washington Football Talk podcast, and even Street Scores. I listened to a little bit of what they have to say, and I watched Ron Rivera's press conferences. So I'm going off of that. Some of the first things I want to talk about is this preseason. Like, I'll go position by position, and basically what I've heard. We'll start with the most popular position to scrutinize or talk about is the quarterback position. So apparently Carson Wentz, I'll start with him. Carson Wentz he's been back and forth. He's had good days, he's had bad days. And the good days, he's good. He has a powerful arm. He can really put zip on it, really fire it in there. Red zone has looked really good for other reasons other than just Carson Wentz, but he's looked really good. And I heard yesterday, today is Tuesday, the 2nd. Yesterday was August the 1st. Apparently they did not have a good day. There was a lot of interceptions done. Listen, people need to understand that the way that football is designed is the defense plays assignment. So they play like their zones and coverage in their zones. The offense plays have to run consistency. There's timing, there's chemistry, there's like option routes. There's a whole lot of things that are a lot more moving parts in an offense than there is a defense. Once the offense gets on the same page, they're much more dangerous, obviously, because they can counter anything the defense does. So I don't really go too much off of. I don't really take it to heart too much whenever there's a lot of interceptions last year. So I mean. A lot of people say, like, last year, that's because they thought the defense was better. Now the defense was bad last year, and I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I'll get into that a little bit later. But Washington's quarterback, Carson Wentz, I'm not going to panic. Everyone's, like, freaking out online that he threw 3 interceptions in one practice or something. It happens. Okay? It happens. I believe our secondary and our defense is a lot better than they have been. And what better than what they're portrayed as. I think we're having a progression to the means of what our defense actually is. Probably like top 10 defense. I'm not going to go as high as top 5, but top 10 for sure. So I believe that that's the issue with our defense, right? Or that's going to be, our defense is good. I think our defense is good, and that's the thing. I think our defense is good. They're jumping routes. It's not like bad throws. It's just that the defenses are making good plays. And that's what I've heard about a lot of these. Not a lot of these are like 1 or 2 maybe bad throws, like one sails and then a safety gets a pick. But a lot of them are like just good defensive plays by, Kendall Fuller and Bobby McCain and Jeremy Reeves and so on and so forth. So we'll give an update on Taylor Heinicke. Apparently Taylor Heinicke is doing a lot better. He's progressed better than what he was last year. He's learning about some things, like he knows his weakness. His weakness is it's not that he can't throw the ball deep. He doesn't have the velocity that everyone else. So like when Carson Wentz throws the ball like 25 yards on a dime, it's really different than Taylor Heinicke, who has to kind of put some air on it a little bit to get it there. So he's worked on his arm strength, and I don't know how much better that's gotten, but he's gotten better at being less turnover prone than he was last year. So finding the throws that he can throw better and making those rather than trying to force things deep and causing turnovers. And then Samuel Howell, I mean, I honestly have not heard anything too much bad about Samuel Howell. He's Taylor Heinicke's little tall, like he's 6 foot tall, but he has Carson's arm, and he's a lot more accurate than Carson. Is what I've heard. I heard JP Finley say that the guy was 2 inches taller. He never would have got out of the first round, and he was last year before we started actually playing college games this year, and he had no offense around him. He was considered the first quarterback off the board last year when they projected this draft class. So I'm just tapping to make sure nothing times out. So there we go. So that's the quarterback room. I'm not panicking about it. When we start watching preseason games and the backup quarterbacks are throwing turnovers and things like that, I think Samuel Howell's going to rock it this preseason. I really do. And I'm not too concerned about the quarterback position. I'm confident in whatever we do. I think Carson Wentz, we're going to win a lot of games with him. I think if we have to go to Taylor Heinicke because Carson's injured, I'm not going to hate it, because Taylor Heinicke, honestly, let's be bluntly honest. He didn't have a lot of weapons last year. He had McLaurin, and every team keyed on McLaurin, and then he had everyone else, which Dummy Brown wasn't very good. Cam Sims was okay. He didn't have Curtis Samuel. He didn't have Curtis Samuel. He didn't have really. He had Logan Thomas, I guess, but he's going to have better tight end options this year, for sure. If he has to go as a quarterback for a while, and then Samuel Howell. Honestly, if we were to start Samuel Howell day one, would not bother me, because I think Samuel Howell. I think the team is good enough that they could rally around Samuel Howell and make him produce. He is a better version of Taylor Heinicke. And Taylor Heinicke can run. He can do RPOs, and he's a gamer. And I think Samuel Howell's a gamer as well. And he's just got the arm of Wentz, but he's got Taylor Heinicke's like playing spirit basically. Which I don't hate that. I like Taylor Heinicke. I like when Carson Wentz has a stint here, and I don't know if it'll be long term or not. But hopefully Samuel Howell can go forward as a quarterback in the future, maybe a year from now, maybe 2 years from now, and then Taylor Heinicke can be his backup forever and a day. So yeah, but moving on to positions, running backs. I don't have a lot to report except for other than Antonio Gibson's apparently been, he's fighting through like a little bit of a nagging, not really an injury, just like some kind of like nagging pain, but he's fighting through it. Antonio Gibson's a tough guy. He gets little nicks and bumps here and there, but he doesn't actually like to miss a lot of playing time. He doesn't like to miss practice, so to speak. So yeah, I'm not worried too much about the running back room. The running back room is probably one that I've heard the least amount of like any kind of like worry about this whole offseason. And the next group is also pretty minimal worry other than one player. The receiving core. The receiving core right now consists of McLaurin, Dotson, Cam Sims, Curtis Samuel, Dax Milne. I can't remember the guy's name. Is it Erickson? I think that's his name. He's basically a punt returner. And so that's really our receiving core. I think maybe De'Ami Brown. I don't know if I said De'Ami Brown or not, but he's in that mix. I'm not too worried about the receiving core. I think Jahan Dotson is like a freaking steal. I think everyone else was enamored by Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson. Yeah, they missed out on the guy who didn't have the quarterback that they had. It didn't have all the talent around them and still put up just as good of numbers. I think Jahan Dotson is a very, very, very important pickup for Washington, especially if Curtis Samuel can't play. So I'm not too worried about the receiving core. I think the receiving core is good enough, and we just got to have the quarterback get them the ball, and we'll see a lot of things happen. McLaurin, for once, as long as Dotson isn't injured, will have someone else to draw attention away from him. Curtis Samuel was supposed to do that, but you can't rely on him to play. He's got a nagging hamstring and lower back. Ron says it's an abundance of caution, and they have a plan just to get him to week 1 and not overwork him or whatever. I mean, I understand that, but he's a professional athlete. He should be able to practice, or at least do enough in practice to where that's how he's conditioning himself. Doesn't make sense to me, but as long as he's ready for week 1, I'll trust whatever process. But if we're doing all this and it's all smoke screens and the guy isn't playing, like, what was the point in signing the guy? We could have had other players. There could have been other guys out there. Allen Robinson's one that I wanted, honestly, because he's a reliable player, and you're not getting the Deebo Samuel like offensive intrigue, I guess is the best way to put it, with Allen Robinson, but you get consistent receiver play, which is kind of what Washington needs. But we'll see. We'll see what Curtis Samuel does. I hope he's ready for week 1. I really do. I don't want this to be like a thing where we sign it. Was it with Washington signing receivers and can ever play? Like, Paul Richardson? I think that's his name. We signed him 4 years, $40 million, and he played like 1 season maybe. Total of 16 games total. And we had to like cut him early. Yeah, so like that's just like, I guess it's our curse. I don't know. So, the next thing, let's go to tight ends. Tight ends has been an exciting group to hear about. Just so a little history about me, I actually played tight end in high school, and I was a backup tight end in college. I played defensive end in college. That's more or less what I played, but I was a tight end just in case. When you play Division III school, they don't have 50 guys they can pick from, so sometimes you just got to play multiple roles. And as a rookie, a freshman, that's what I went to play, defensive end and tight end. Tight end room to me is very exciting because we don't even have Logan Thomas right now. Okay, and apparently our biggest red zone target is Cole Turner, guy we drafted out of I think it was Nevada, and he has just been, I don't know, I've heard nothing but good things about him. Can he block? Probably not, but he can receive. He is 6'6", 6'5", whatever. He can go up and get it. There's a ball that's high, and you throw it where he can get it, he's gonna get it. And he's got a lot of ability. He's good at the fade route, and like he's just making everyone good. Taylor Heinicke and Carson Wentz both need to just find him in the red zone and get him the football. Or he can draw a lot of attention that opens up someone else. There's nothing bad about what Cole Turner's doing right now. And I don't care if he can block. If he can be like basically another receiver out there, and whatever quarterback we have, weapons. Carson Wentz loves to throw to tight ends. So Logan Thomas, John Bates, Cole Turner, I think the other guy's name is Hodges. You have a lot of options out here for receiving weapons. Just at the tight end position, there's a lot of things that we can do with tight ends, and Carson Wentz, like I said, likes to find his tight ends. He's the only quarterback in NFL history to throw for over 4,000 yards and not get over 500 yards to anyone, and two of those guys are tight ends. So there's definitely something there, and I'm excited to see what Washington do with playing with these abundance of talented tight ends is the best way to put it. It's more talented tight end room we've had in a long time. Probably the best tight end we've had since Jordan Reed and Vernon Davis. But I mean, that wasn't really a good example of a good tight end room because Jordan Reed could not stay healthy to save his life, and Vernon Davis was he was still good, but he was in his twilight years, so to speak. So yeah, now we're gonna move to the offensive line. So offensive line has been, what I've heard, has been like a massive shuffling of guys. So we got Wes Schweitzer, who can play center. He's been playing center while Chase Roullier has been injured. Chase Roullier is back from injury, so he's not full contact playing. He's just practicing on the side, doing workouts and stuff. So you have Wes Schweitzer, who's battling for that starting guard position because Chase Roullier is going to be a starting center. So he's battling for that starting guard position, but he has to play center instead of battling for that starting guard position. And so we have multiple guards. We have Shadiq Charles who's playing guard. He's playing tackle. He's rotating around. And we have, is it Trey Turner? I think that's the name, Trey Turner. He's supposed to be like an option at guard, and he's like rotating around. It's just madness. It's what it is. It's just madness. But it's not a bad thing because they've had success with whatever offensive line they put out consistently. They've had success with that. It's not like a situation where, you know, if they don't have these 5 starters, they're bad. They've had consistently, no matter who was on the field, consistently good running. They had the second highest win runs last year in blocks. Run blocking wins is what they call it. Where they legit, like, everyone put a hat on a hat and opened up an actual hole. They're second best in the league last year. And pass blocking wasn't horrible either. So I'm not going to worry too much about the offensive line yet. And there's a lot of like things about the defensive line just eating them up. Well, it's not full contact yet. It's not full contact. They're still shuffling things around. And my response to that as well is the defensive line should destroy our offensive line. They have 4 first rounders on the defensive line. They've invested a second round pick in it this year. So they should absolutely demolish our offensive line. There's not like, oh, well, they're getting demolished by, defensive line is supposed to be a top 5 defensive line. They're ranked number 2 in the league actually. So they should demolish whatever offensive line we put out there. Unless we get Trent Williams back, Brandon Sheriff, and like every great offensive lineman we've had, I don't think any defensive line is going to consistently have success against or any offensive line is going to have consistent success against our defensive line. Okay, so I don't take that too much. But the problem is with that is because they're out of sorts, Carson Wentz doesn't get a clean pocket ever to make throws. So he's always throwing off balance and things like that. So that's not helping his progression and any other quarterback we have's progression. So to sum it up, I'm not as worried about the offense as people think. They're still learning plays. They're still figuring things out. You have a lot of moving pieces right now. And when we get closer to the season, we're going to get a solidification on what everyone is. Right now, they're just trying to see things. I think, Ron, this is probably one of the first years where a lot of our positions are picked. We know who the quarterback is. We know who the running back is. We know who our top 3 receivers are going to be. We know who our 2 tight ends are. Logan Thomas is healthy. Okay? We know who most of our offensive line is. You know, it's going to go Cornelius Lucas. It's going to go, who's the guy we got from Jacksonville? I can't think of his name right now. He replaced, can't think of his name. I'm not going to worry about his name right now. I can see his face. I cannot think of his name right now. He played for Ron at one point, then he played for Jacksonville, and now he's playing for us. I do not remember his name right now. And then Chase Roullier at center, right tackle Samuel Cosme, right guard's a little bit of a competition. That's really the only spot in the offensive line we got to worry about. If there's a competition, who wins out? Trey Turner or Wes Schweitzer? I cannot think of this guy's name. It's gonna beat me up. Now defense is different. So the offense is pretty much, they know what they have. They're just trying to see what else they have. That's what they're trying to see. What else they have? Who can pick up concepts better? Who can pick up plays better? Whereas the defense, you also have a very similar thing. You know who your starting four is going to be on the defensive line, except for maybe Chase Young's position because he's injured right now. That's it. You know the defensive line is going to be. It's going to be Jonathan Allen, it's going to be Daron Payne, with Fedarian Mathis backing him up, and maybe the other guy we signed this offseason from Carolina. And then you got, sorry, I'm driving, I was adjusting my thing. And then you got our right end is Montez Sweat, who apparently looks amazing. Apparently he's like making big plays. He's making an impact consistently. He's like showing a lot of like a skill that we expect from him. And then you look at our linebacking core. There's not really any secrets with our linebacking core. It's Cole Turner and it's Jamin Davis. It's pretty much what it is. Cole Turner's going to call the plays. Jamin Davis will be like the outside linebacker. We're going to play a lot of Buffalo nickel, so we don't really need a third linebacker. That's really what the defense is. So then secondary, we know who the starting corners are. William Jackson III and Kendall Fuller. And then our slot corner will probably be Benjamin St-Juste. And then when you look at our secondary, it looks like Cameron Curl, looks like Bobby McCain. And you also have Forrester and Butler competing for that. So it's not an off-season or like a training camp like it was last year, where we didn't have a lot of we had less certainty last year. We didn't know who was going to start where, and I think there's more certainty. So they're just trying to figure out what they have and everyone else around them. So I think that's the difference here this year. Now, here's some things that have been bothering me about what I've been hearing. This was said yesterday on a podcast that from the Washington Football Talk podcast, and this is just I've tweeted this at him, and I wish he would just make the correct statement here. He keeps saying, like they were talking about the defense, like last year when we threw picks, we were like, well, because the defense is so good, and then the defense ended up being bad because the secondary sucked. I really wish he would fix this verbiage. It pisses me off every time I hear it. I'm like, the secondary was bad last year, okay? And I'm driving, and I'm doing the clap thing. Last year, because our defensive line was not very good. It was not. When our defensive line got better near the middle of the season, guess what got better? Our cornerbacks, our secondary. No team in the history of the NFL has ever gone to the Super Bowl with just having a good secondary. Okay? It is more likelihood. What is more likely? If you had to just answer this in the comments if you're hearing this. If you had to pick one group to be good on your defense, which one would you rather have? Would you rather have a good defensive line, a good linebacking core, or good secondary? The answer to the question, I'll give you a second to comment, okay? Now, the answer to that question is defensive line. You want to know why? Let me work backwards first. The worst group you want to have that's good is corner or linebacker, because it's not going to help you. It can help you a little bit in the run, a little bit, but if your defense line's too neutralized, they can still block you, and they can basically take you out of a lot of plays. Okay, so that's the first thing. Second, you can't help the passing game. Okay, you can only help for so much. You can't cover deep. You can't cover corners. There's nothing linebacking core can do. It used to be linebacking core was perfect because teams never passed as much, and so you were really important to the game. The defense line would suck up blocks, and linebackers would run sideline to sideline making tackles, and then you could like wail on anyone crossing the middle of the field. So that used to be the most important group. Now, not the most important group. It doesn't. You can't eliminate one aspect of a game or even any aspect of a game. Really, you can't. Having a strong linebacking core, you can't. Now let's go to cornerback or secondary. Good secondary. If it's a great secondary, you might have a little more success, but teams can still run on you, and you're not going to be as good in stopping the run as you can. You might have some effect, but not to a degree. Okay, and also, like I said, you can nullify a good secondary by just being a good, effective running team more than you can. However, a good defensive line, what can a good defensive line do? Well, first thing it can do is stop the run. It can jam up the run, and even if you have mediocre corners and secondary, jamming up the run makes the corners and secondary a lot better, or linebackers and secondary a lot better. So that is why it is better to have your defense built from the front back. The defensive line, stop the run. And you can really affect the passing game. There are multiple Super Bowl winners that did not have a good quarterback, did not have good anything other than defensive line. Look at the New York Giants. They won 2 Super Bowls in the 2000s. Why? They won them in the 2000s because good defensive line. Stifling the other team's running attack, forced them to pass a lot, and then got to the quarterback before plays could develop. Okay? Look at the Rams last year. The reason why they won Super Bowl, it's because their defensive line made plays when they had to. Yeah, Matt Stafford did do some things, but you look at the defense, they did good because the defensive line stepped up. They don't win Super Bowl without Aaron Donald. So I get so frustrated when I'm listening to people talk about football and they make uneducated comments like that. You watch the same games I watched. When I watched games last year, I saw both Montez Sweat and Chase Young going so wide. Quarterback stepped up, extended plays, and threw the ball downfield after the play had already, like, everyone run the routes, and then the receivers had to, like, scramble as the quarterback scrambling to get open. You can't cover forever. I don't care who you have at cornerback. I don't care if you have Deion Sanders at one side and if you have Darrelle Revis at the other. You cannot cover forever. Darrelle Revis was good in the 2 places he played. The Jets, because they had a very good defensive line, they got after the quarterback. Okay, they basically confused the quarterback so he couldn't make quick decisions. And Darrelle Revis would cover them and make sure that it took away those first few options. Okay, and when we went to New England, same thing happened in New England. Another example is like Legion of Boom. Legion of Boom was good. It wasn't, the secondary was pretty good, but the Legion of Boom was better because the defensive line could stop the run, forcing teams to punt, and they get a lead, and then they could play with leads. And when they played with leads, they would just pin their ears back and go get the quarterback. And that comes from the defensive line. If the defensive line was bad, the quarterback would wait forever for plays to develop. But that never happened because the defensive line was that good. I can keep going with multiple examples. Denver a couple years ago when they won a Super Bowl. But the point is, I hate, and I like listening to JP Finley and the Washington Football Club because that just frustrates me to hell and back that he keeps making that statement. The defensive line sucked last year. When will someone admit that? Let me rephrase that. They admit the defensive line sucked, that it was bad last year. Yet they'll still not understand and put 2 and 2 together at one. It's called causality. One causes the other. A bad secondary doesn't make, having a good bad secondary does not make the defensive line look good or look bad. Okay, a lot of the defense that we play are zone. Zone makes plays develop longer, and when our defensive line can't get to the quarterback, and the quarterback has a chance to pick things up. It also doesn't help last year that we played I think it's the strongest or second strongest schedule. Okay, second strongest straight of the schedule, and we played a lot of really good quarterbacks last year. So when you give really good quarterbacks options like this, they're going to take advantage of it. All right, so let me talk about the defense. You can't go much off the defense right now, honestly. You're not playing anyone other than that. Defensive line can't do anything other than just get upfield, pin your ears back, and go after the quarterback. And when it comes to linebackers, you can't judge that right now. Defense is hard to judge in preseason. They're getting a lot of turnovers, yeah, but you can literally chalk that up to 2 things. Either they're just way ahead of the offense, or the offense is trying some things and shuffling things around. Defense isn't shuffling things around. I think defense is probably the most secure spot right now when it comes to knowing what they have and what they're going to do on defense, more than the offense is. Offense is still figuring out their offensive line situation and what combination of receivers or what combination of options at receiver are going to be best, and so on and so forth. So that's really what it is. That's really what this video is. It's not about, to me, I don't believe for a second, and I'm just being honest here, I don't believe for a second last year that our cornerback or our secondary was so bad that, we can just write it off as they're bad and the defensive line is bad and everyone was as bad. I think there's a massive combination of a lot of things. I think the defensive line sucked, and in essence, that made our linebacking core not as good. I think that hindered Jamin Davis's development a little bit. And then I also think the defensive line sucked. You can't cover everyone for forever. And when you look at the lack of pass rush by a lot of our guys that were drafted to rush the passer, Chase Young did horrible last year. Montez Sweat was okay. Our best defense, our best sackster or person getting sacks, I think was John Allen, and he's not known for getting sacks. It's not what he's known for. And drawing pain, I think the second most sacks came from, I think, a secondary member. I think it was Landon Collins or Cameron Curl. It's one of the two. It's one of those two. So yeah, I'm not in the mode, I guess, if you want to call it that, or what, I don't know what you want to call it. I'm not in the school of thought that our secondary was bad and our defense line was bad, and none of those things have any kind of correlation. I don't think that the secondary can make the defensive line look bad unless they're playing off like 15 yards and the quarterback just say hut and throw it to a receiver on a 1 yard slant before anyone has a chance to get to him. I think that's your only possibility. That is a likelihood. So that's my video. I don't want to get too much into this. I know I haven't posted in a long time. This summer's been pretty hectic. I've been got a raise, but I got transferred to another location within my region, but still it's a further drive. Like right now I got an hour and 15-minute drive to work every day and an hour and 15-minute drive home from work every day. So definitely like a lot different. I don't have as much time to do things anymore. I'm also starting up a gaming channel, so if you want to check that out, it's JD's Nerdverse. If you like video games and top 10 lists, things like that. I plan on doing more videos as more stuff comes out about the team. I do plan on watching all the preseason games and giving my thoughts on those. So those things will be happening. Like I said, I haven't done much with this channel because in the summer there's not much you can do. And the only news we've really been getting is the negative news. And I don't like to talk about the negative news about Dan Snyder. I don't. It's not something I enjoy talking about, period. I want to update on Washington, the football team. What is the football team doing? How is the football team progressing? How's our quarterback situation? How's our receiver situation? Those are things that I enjoy talking about. The other things, I really just like, it frustrates me to the hell and back how horribly run our franchise is. And so rather than moping around about it, I just don't concern myself with those things right now. Okay, because it's going to make me upset, and I don't want to get upset about my team. I like my team, even though we've sucked lately. I think we're in the right direction. I think there's a trajectory here. I think this year, to me, it just feels different. It really does. That's the best way I can put the feeling I have about this season. It just feels a little bit different to me. I feel like we've got a lot of things that are coming together, and I think it's just going to be something beautiful to behold if everything comes together correctly. I think we have the best weapons we've had in a long time at receiver, at tight end, at running back. There's depth everywhere. I can't look at anywhere on offense and look and see like there's not multiple weapons at every position that could definitely be utilized. I can look at our offensive line and say, hey, if you can do anywhere near close to what you did last year with a better quarterback and better weapons, what's there to lose? And then you look at the schedule. We have an easier schedule. Quarterback, we've definitely upgraded at quarterback. I like Taylor Heineke. I think Taylor Heineke, with the weapons we have, would probably win about 9 or 10 games maybe. But I think Carson Wentz gets you to that 11 or 12 game mark. And in defense, I think the defense is going to progress back to what they were 2 years ago. I know it's a lot of like what ifs, but usually when you get big name players like William Jackson III, it can take a year. It can take some time for him to adjust to the style that we play. And you heard Ron say it a couple days ago. William Jackson, he started understanding like about mid-season, and he started looking much better and looking more fluid in our defense. So that's just kind of a testament to, him understanding the defense and him getting it. And it's gonna happen with more guys. When you get rookies, here's the thing about rookies. When rookies come in the league, the only thing they know is what you teach them. Okay, that's the only thing they know professionally, what you teach them. That's kind of the benefit to when you draft a guy and re-signing them, is you don't have to reteach someone your verbiage, your philosophies, so on and so forth. And I think the defense will be what we thought the defense should have been last year. They're going to be that this year. Right now, it's no expectations. Maybe that's a good thing. There's not a lot of expectations for the defense because last year, I wouldn't say they were abysmal, but they definitely had some. They definitely did not look the part of which they were like projected to be. So this is my video. I've ranted on for almost 30 minutes now. I want to thank everyone for watching. Please hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell. And also follow me on Twitter. It's Commander J Plank. And I post my videos on there all the time. I post other stuff. I have open forums, sometimes even polls, so on and so forth. So comment down below if you like the video. It helps the algorithm. And share to your friends. I hope to get to 1,000 hopefully by the time season starts, but got to ramp up some more video making. But Thank everyone for watching, and have a good one.